Friday, honestly, if there's one thing we have earned after a long week, it's a little bit of gist, a lot of good vibes, and the hottest conversations making the rounds. And so we kickstart today's episode of Jasiri with the ladies with diving into what has been on social media causing a furore. Why is it such a big deal that billionaires, millionaires, people in high authority or places of power, what's the big deal by, as in, you know, with the dawn of Gen Zs and the digital media moving around, now there's lines that are blurred and no one really knows exactly where what is and what that. But there's some traditional schools of thought who believe that leave matter for Matthias. What am I talking about? So billionaire Tony Elumelu, who is also the chairman of the UBA group, was hosting a session, and everyone knows how he's very passionate about young people investing in their growth and all of that. So there was this young trainee who addressed him, who wanted to say something, and addressed him by his first name and called him, hello, Tony. Huh? Hello, Tony. And he said,
good morning, Tony.
After 5 working days.
He said, huh? What did you just say? What did you say?
He said Tony.
Tony.
And then she was like, no, I said Tony.
So, she said, so exactly, what is the big deal now? Tony says it doesn't surprise. Said, for moments like these, address me as appropriate, either chairman or Mr. Elumelu.
Or TOE.
Yes, or TOE's initials.
Or, you know. And this conversation that we're having this morning actually started in the makeup room, but we said, let us save our energies so we can dissipate the energy here. Let's listen to how this would play.
Good morning, Tony.
Tony.
I said good morning, Tony.
Okay, no, you won't call me Tony. I'm not those people. You call me Mr. Elumelu or TOE. You won't call me Tony or chairman. I don't subscribe to that kind of Oyibo life, okay? All right.
Good morning, Mr. Elumelu.
Thank
so my
you.
question is, how do you know if you are to keep going?
Okay.
Good morning, Kat.
Good morning, ladies. Okay. What seemed to be the problem? Do you think he was reacting?
I do. Don't you have reactions?
Overreacting?
Do we have reactions?
I don't think we do. Wait, okay, so let me just...
Yeah, we do have.
So, we do?
We do have reactions.
Should we take reactions
Let's
before
take
we take it?
reactions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? Don't let the reaction sway what you want to
This
say.
babe is so rude and mannerless. This is not the Western world where such things are common. Nigeria is still a respect-oriented society. It's common sense to address an elder by Mr. or Mrs. Calling him Tony is very disrespectful. This babe was wrong. It's not even about being woke. It's about learning how to address people in a formal setting. Unless they tell you to go by first name basis, you have to add the titles. Come on. My opinion, the lady did nothing wrong. If I guess right, she's a graduate of their graduate trainee program. Anyone who once passed through that system knows they're trained to call people by their first name. The way you are all abusing the lady is unnecessary. If Tony was at a forum in the West and someone called him Tony, he wouldn't rebut in this manner. All these instructions are for very poor people. It's the same way Burna Boy won't step on the head of a fan abroad, but him go use boot, come out Nigerian fan teeth. The respect people have for you is commensurate to how rich and powerful you are. If it is company policy to refer to people by their first name, why is the chairman above this policy? I understand the cultural sentiments, but she's doing exactly what HR promotes. If he does not subscribe to it, then it should not be a company policy. She called him like she was calling her younger brother or someone in their neighborhood. How silly and uncouth can you be to address a whole billionaire as Tony?
You see, my problem with
But
this
then,
is
before we go on, there is another video that resurfaced. In this clip, Tony Elumelu is seen being interviewed by another young interviewer who referred to him as Tony without receiving the same correction. You know, that has prompted some Nigerians to ask, is it a matter of context or relationship, or is there a double standard? Let's look at both videos, then we can now pull all our
There are
resources
some reactions
together.
to this even.
Oh, we'll take the reactions, then we'll react all together.
reaction.
So So great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you too.
You are one of the most celebrated and most decorated business leaders in Africa, and I would posit the world. So it's truly an honor to be able to host you at Stanford this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
We watched a video earlier where we learned a little bit about the foundation, which we'll speak about towards the later half of the interview. But we saw there that you're such a supporter and such an advocate of entrepreneurship. Hi, Tony. It's so great to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
Good to meet you too.
You are one.
This one is what Yoruba will say. Ọ̀rọ̀
That's what I was waiting for. And that's why I said let's
No,
not
but did you guys
have the
notice
conversation
something?
there.
When she called him by that name, Tony, I don't think he was happy about it. But he
Yeah, but
just
why didn't you
had
correct
to.
her?
Because it's not his
the
house.
setting matters. It's not his house. It's not Nigeria.
Which is what I'm saying.
And you know, the setting matters as well. You go abroad. Even your friends call your mom by their name. They don't really care about, you know, miss or whatever. So it's like that. So I think this is the reason why he did not correct her. But you could tell that he wasn't.
It was a bit uncomfortable.
I think there's a bit of double standards
It's not
there.
double standard.
No, let me not. I think there's a bit of double standards where he is, because in one breath you're preaching the Gen Z wokeness. You're preaching that, and probably that's because you want to lure in or you want to encompass the Gen Z digital media population. And in another breath, you're saying that, okay, no, call me by my designated name. While I get that, Dashin, you said it's a different setting. It's not his house. That's why it can be called. I've anchored a show where I've had people older than me who have been on the show, and I called them by their first names. And people didn't understand that. Why is she disrespectful? You're way younger than these people. Why are you calling them by their first names? But sometimes that's what the work decides. You do that. But the moment you begin to open that door abroad and you say, oh, because of environment change, it's not the same, so it's acceptable abroad or elsewhere to be called by a first name. He didn't strike me as someone who didn't mind to be called Tony, because he's always saying doing Gen Z stuff, being funky and all of that. And so if you don't put borders and if you don't draw the line, all these things we're talking about, oh, traditional, you don't have home training, you must call him by his designated, you must. I don't think he has made those boundaries clear enough that, listen, when it comes to work or when it comes to call me by my name, Mr. Elumelu, what are you even funkifying by?
One thing that I want...
Call me T-O-E.
I just want to
Is that
say,
the same? Is that not funkifying it as well?
I just want to say something. You talked about, when you've interviewed people and all that. And I interview a lot of, people every day from all around, the world, right? But especially when I'm not comfortable with your surname, because there's so many names that I cannot pronounce and all that. So in media, it's a different setting. Let's just, the second video feels like, a media kind of interview, like an exclusive interview as well. It is allowed for you to call a person by their first name, except they have, titles like doctor, professor, and all that, or chief, and then they want you to call them by that name, right? But normally for a Gen Z, right, out of respect, for example, if a Gen Z should see you now, the first thing she should do is call you by Miss Catherine. And if you do not like the miss, out of respect, and they tell her, no, you can call me by my name. That should be the first thing. And in that setting, she's a trainee in his organization.
Thank you.
Yes. Right? So that respect should have been accorded. It's like,
but is it not the same organization that they say?
I'm getting somewhere. When I came to, News Central, right? We were told that, we call people by their first name basis here, right? But you don't see me calling Mr. Kayode Kayode, or calling him by his name. I call him Mr. K or Mr. Akintemi because he is way older and he is at the top there. So that respect should be accorded. And I have a lot of interns who call me Miss Dashin as well. Do you understand? And some of them call me Dashin. I really do not mind, right? If I was uncomfortable with being called Dashin, I would have told them, oh no, please put some respect on it. But he is your boss. You should have accorded him, in the presence of every other person, accord him that respect.
Another thing I want to bottom, maybe because I'm towing the same line that Dashin is towing. Every organization has a policy. And if their policy is first name basis, it would be a general norm. Everybody would know. And if she's a graduate trainee in one of their in-house programs, I want to believe that she would have inculcated that culture. And him speaking against it like this will probably be inappropriate. But maybe she was just caught in the moment. You know,
I don't know what moment that was.
I'm just trying to, I'm looking for the worst
Best
reason or whatever. Maybe she was just, it just came out, and before she could think or recalibrate.
That moment you're talking about, I think he did not mind.
But she looked
listen, he did not mind being called Tony. But listen, as soon as she called him Tony, she giggled. What was the giggle for? That was the disrespectful thing. You called him, you giggled, and then he was quiet. And then when he heard the giggle, he was like, excuse me, did you call me? Did you get?
Did you call? Just call me. But as far as it's not like a policy.
You know, unfortunately, for me, I feel like I agree with Kat in certain instances, and I agree with you. I think the reason why she called him by his name, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna go against the norms, because in that specific room, that we can't even compare the two videos. I would have had a different notion if in that specific room someone else called him Tony and he had no problem with it. Again, like we said, I'll make an example for you. I think everybody on this table knows Caroline Levitt, right? The former press secretary for the United States.
Yes.
Donald Trump is her president, right? That is the president of outside of the country. That is the president of the White House, right? She will never, after speaking and saying, Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, then they say Donald Trump is calling you into his office and you say, hi, Donald.
Yeah.
He will always be Mr. President.
Yeah.
Now, where I'm going with this is, again, like we say, when you are in Rome, you behave like the Romans do. She was not the first person to ask the question. I would understand if she asked the question first, and then she needed to be corrected such that a precedent is set. She was not the first one. And everyone in that room that was asking questions started with, good morning, sir. Whatever. Olive and I were actually having a conversation this morning on our way to work, and I said that even me, who is not Nigerian, in South Africa, we are a first name basis. That all corporate structures are like that. Sir and ma is here that I learned that, right? We are on a first name basis. But because I understand that I am not in my country, and I understand the decorum and the culture, because sir and ma is not even a decorum thing in Nigeria. It's a culture. It's an institute or institution of respect. I will sir you and I will ma you to eternity.
Yes.
Right? The contradiction with what Dee said with him being at Oxford University, it's not your house.
It's not your house. It's
and
different.
because it is, and for you to know that he understood, even he, the Mr. Elumelu, understood the difference of where he was. The last statement that he made to her is, I don't subscribe to the Oyibo, because he knows that outside he can work.
Tone matters, and that was what I was talking about her giggling, because it felt like she rebelled against what was normal.
Yes, she wanted to go against the current. Because it was a very intentional thing.
Like what you said. Yeah. Because when he even corrected her, she did not apologize. Well,
exactly. I would have expected. I honestly expected. I apologize to Miss Elumelu.
But if you looked at her toe, if you looked at her face, you could see the demeanor. No, for me, honestly enough, the demeanor was a little bit. She looked a bit shameful. But she was like, I'm going to write it down. She looked, because if you remember, I said there was just that, that gallantness.
She was exhuming confidence.
Yes.
Right?
Because, okay, so what we're doing now is looking at body language and looking at, you know, the before and the after and the during of the body language and the interpretation of the body language. See, for me, I know a lot of employers and a lot of people nowadays would do anything to please the Gen Zs. Or you don't want to rock the boat of the Gen Zs. The Gen Z will come and tell you, oh, I have a headache today. My mental health is at stake. I can't make it to work today. Like, I don't understand.
And I have such a, sorry for cutting you. I have such a problem with this accommodation of Gen Zs, where they also make statements, where people make statements like, no correct home training and whatnot. I'll make an example for you. Your eldest is how old?
21.
21 years of age, right? You don't have to disclose your own age. But if your eldest is 21, your mother is ranging from a specific age group. Some still have their grandparents. So you can bet for free that us who are crying this and saying this is disrespectful trained these kids correctly. It's when they get outside that they decide that we want to reorientate the norms. If you're going to talk to me about kids that are probably they are reframing or whatever is probably different. Is kids that perhaps people are in their 30s that are going to give birth to. But if I am having a kid in my 30 years of life, I've got a mother who is still alive by the special grace of God. If I do something like this, my mother will be like, excuse me, to the grandchild. You get what I'm trying to say? So I don't subscribe to the fact that these kids are badly behaved because there is no home training. There is a different norm that they are wanting to introduce, which is contradictory to what they have been done. I thank my mother because my mother beat me upside my head. And the problem is we want to inculcate this gentle parenting.
Therefore,
that's another
as far as I'm concerned, this girl now, the kind of public backlash she would have received. In fact, I'm sure that some employers can even this can victimize her, actually. They can, some will look at her and say, Naila, not in my organization. I'm not going to employ somebody who is this disrespectful.
Even the foundation hires people.
Other Gen Zs and Gen Z employers will applaud her. Gen Zs will stand
you stood your ground.
And said you stood your ground.
What is it about
these people need to understand that the world is changing. And so honestly, there's two sides to this coin.
This coin.
Any side that anyone is looking at that favors you or that works for you is what you accept, and that's it. We can argue on both sides.
We can argue, and that's why I told the line of Inam. It depends on where you are at. And looking, there's something called reading the room. It's part of emotional intelligence. If you're not the first person to ask a question, I would have read the room. Do you know sometimes, Catherine, you MC, we all MC on this table.
Yes.
Have you not prepared a presentation?
But
when you read the room,
you had to
change. I changed it. I went to an event. They invited me. They never told me it was a Christian Christian event. I had already planned my whatever I'm going to talk. But as I sat in the room, I had to be recalibrating. So I believe that younger people, you should please implore for yourself, learn for yourself emotional intelligence. Learn to read the room.
There was something I told Lolo one time, and I said, do you know how far a single greeting can actually take you? It's as good as opening your mouth and telling the right person at the right time, good morning, ma. That is it. Your life will change forever.
You know, there's some people who also tell you that, I've greeted her good morning, ma. So I say I don't like. I have friends who run their own businesses, who say when they say good morning, I say, no, please call me Ololade.
That is something like my kids. When I was growing up, I called all my sisters auntie. None of our siblings call her auntie. It's the norm in my house. Everybody is on first name basis. That's how I raised my children. But that wasn't how my parents raised me. Everybody is auntie. Exactly.
Yes.
But I implore my children that when you go out, when they come here, have you said hello to Auntie Catherine? Have you greeted Auntie Nam? Because that's not your house. That's when I said, when Dashin said, this is his house. I agreed 100%. So you have to learn the norms of where you are at. And I just pray that, this doesn't blow back negatively on her career-wise.
Frankly, I don't think so, because whether we like it or not, employers, I've seen guys, I'm telling you, employers are making excuses for
but old school employers will hold this against you, Kathy.
You see.
It's new agers that will just let it pass. That's what I'm saying.
But how much of the old schoolers are there? Because everyone's on social media. You want to buy into the Gen Z community. So, to some extent, you have to let some things give because of what you intend.
That's actually quite true.
Context they can't really throw out the baby with the bathwater.
I know, and I'm not. Do you know I would have exonerated her of all this? Okay, I tried to make an excuse for her. If she had just corrected, I say, I apologize, sir, and she moved on. That would probably have just wiped the slate. But she just called him by name and did not acknowledge the correction.
Gen Z is a different conversation. Gen Zs that are telling you they go out to talk about. That should take us to break, please.
All right, we'll take a break now.
Miss Dashin, take us to the break.
What is it? Stay with us.
Misters, Mrs., ladies, mas, chiefs, all duly observed. You're welcome back to Jasiri.
Thank you, my dear. But I find that condescending sometimes.
Thank you, my dear.
When some people just say,
do not
thank
call
you, my
me a
dear.
miss. Do not call me
lady.
Call me the lady.
The lady.
Usman.
Lady Usman.
Where did you get your title from? It's just like people that put professor and doctor in front of their name. And I find it, and it's honorary. I would rather you say, I don't know how to address. For me, I don't really like this honorary doctor.
What? Have you ever, you would know, have you ever taken an interview on the news where you're like, joining us now, we have
Dr.
Call me by
Usman.
By my title.
And you ask your first question, they'll land. You will ask your first question and be like, sorry, point of correction, I am doctor.
If it's
and because you're on TV, you have to be like, apologies, sir.
Apologies.
Lady Usman. Lady Darshan, she said.
You forgot D.
A tweet has been making rounds on X.
Gang.
A user by the name D Liberty shared an experience about early morning preaching in his neighborhood. It reads, and I quote, "There's a man who preaches around 5:30 a.m. every morning in our street with a loudspeaker." The tenant stated complaining, so the landlord held a meeting and pasted a notice on the fence of each building, warning that anyone caught preaching again would pay 20,000 naira as a fine. The man continued preaching, in and out of season. The man continued preaching despite the warning. One morning, one of the landlords seized his loudspeaker. The man called his pastor, who came and begged the landlord, but he refused. They paid the 20,000 naira fine and collected their speaker. For the past 1 month, nobody has preached in the street again. Close quote. The post has since sparked a wider conversation about religious expression, residents' rights to peace and quiet, and where the line should be drawn when religious activities become a source of noise disturbance. Let's get the reactions.
Yep.
20,000 naira and a confiscated speaker beat a month of tenant complaints falling on deaf landlords. Incentives, not sermons, changed his mind. Exactly how it is on my street. This man keeps screaming around 5 a.m. in the name of preaching. Just yesterday, he preached for landlords and landladies to reduce house rent. Low-key, I was intrigued at the message. But on the other hand, it's really annoying how he does this every day. Sometimes it takes a 20,000 naira fine to teach a lesson that preaching alone cannot or couldn't. Respect people's peace and obey community rules. Better, there are other ways to preach. We don't have to do it with megaphones on the streets. Nigeria people need iron hand. 5 o'clock, that I will be enjoying my sleep. You will come and be disturbing me, my peaceful sleep. If not me, I'll go do and waiting even strong past so. Nonsense character. I don't know about if it's right or wrong, but disturbing the peace of the community, there are lots of things, we need to iron out in Nigeria. All these religious activities need to be addressed. Both Christians and Muslims go to the extreme to do some things that are not allowed in the society. Mosques also have their prayers around that time. This needs to be addressed with wisdom.
No. I don't understand. It needs to be addressed with wisdom. Come on. It doesn't.
When I used to talk about this many years ago, and I'm Christian, people say I'm anti-Christian. I find it a bit offensive when people preach in the bus. I have done it. Please forgive me, Jesus. And I found how disturbing it can be. I know that we have a right to be able to speak, but not to the extent that you are disturbing the peace of your neighbor. So people are in the bus thinking about their lives, and they are just not in. It's not a place where you want noise, and somebody will shout and say, "In the name of Jesus, I welcome you here." Whether you want it or not, you have to participate. People stay in street corners with megaphones, loudspeakers in the morning. Yeah. And you are wondering that, okay, you are not the only Christian here. And that goes for Muslims too, when they do their call to prayer. I know there was a time in Lagos State, that Lagos State made a law that you cannot do, that you must reduce your volume to a point that you can't situate your speakers. You can't basically outside your environment, that it will disturb every other place.
So you know what?
Wait, let me land.
Land.
Yes, land. And they just keep doing that, and it disturbs everybody. But because Nigeria is such a deeply religious country, that if you speak against this thing publicly, people make you feel as if, they have a right to speak about their religion, they have a right to preach, they have a right to evangelize. There was a neighbor we had one time. He used to do night vigil every Friday with drums in his house. In fact, the landlord is a Muslim. The guy gave him quit notice. Yeah, because it was disturbing the peace of everyone.
Inam, you want to say so this is my problem, and I hope they will not cancel me, right? I think sometimes when it comes to accommodating religion and cultures, leave the peace. I understand that everybody deserves peace. While we are on this earth, everybody deserves peace. But I think when it comes to, I like the last tweet that the other guy said, with regards to the contrast between Christianity and
Islam
practices and cultures and stuff. I find that in Nigeria, we are a little bit more accommodating with some of the practices that Islam practices as opposed to Christianity. And personally, as an individual, I have a problem with that because the fairness sometimes is really not there. Why do I say this, right? Lolo made a reference of the fact that maybe with Christians it's a little bit more radical because someone will just begin to preach on the bus or someone will just begin to preach on the road. But you see, my first culture shock when I came to Nigeria was in Abuja. During the time of Eid and whatever the case may be, do you know that it literally was a culture shock to me. It was an inconvenience for those that are perhaps not practicing. But you know that nobody dared to make, I didn't see a tweet, I didn't see a comment, I didn't see a fight, I didn't see anything. The minute the person upstairs sang, that is time for prayers. If you are on the road, you will stop on the road and they will put mats and they will begin to pray, right? Now, we respect that because that is their belief. Abuja, I wish we could get comments in Abuja. If it is that period where they're about, maybe they are about to break or whatever, whether it's Eid or whatever the case may be, and I say this with all respect, I'm trying to find common ground for you guys to understand the contrast between the two or the contradiction. If it is time and the cry out, yes, I say to you that we were in life camp on the plain road, even in Maitama. The minute it is time, if you cannot make it inside and there are cars outside, they would put down mats in front of the road. And it would be a proper gridlock standstill. No one will dare say, what are you guys doing here? Everybody would stand. We knew that if you want to rush from traffic, rush because it is Eid period or whatever the case may be, they would literally in the road get out of their car.
Okay, so that inconvenience should be able to cancel this inconvenience of
and the funny thing about, because if we are saying we're going to, like I said, I never saw a tweet on it. I never heard anybody. It didn't trend. Ideally, just like this thing is trending, because people get, I get what she's saying. There'll be days where I came from doing a crazy shift and I'm sleeping, and then I will hear my garden boy playing like a... Messicino or Theophilus. As Christian as I am, but I'm tired. You know what I'm trying to say? So I understand where the frustration tends to be, but I think sometimes when it comes to Christianity, because people tend to feel like it is, for the lack of a better word, there's a bit more flexibility there and the ability to have an opinion. People have opinions that are a little bit far stretching, and sometimes, for the lack of a better word, I'll say a little bit more disrespectful to people's expression, because he is doing that because in his own religion he finds that to be evangelism.
I know it's evangelism, but I don't like, see what, I don't have anything against chosen members, but see what they're doing in London. It has become annoying and embarrassing.
In London?
Yes.
Oh, they have a...
Oh my God, I saw like a tweet last week.
They're in London.
Where they wear
that yellow...
Even though I know that one does not offend people. Imagine you are passing and they're preaching inside buses now, in classrooms, you know, and I would look for that tweet or for that post and share. And they say this is becoming a nuisance.
Just before Catherine speaks, I just want to remind you that you can only send messages. Please do not call the line. We do not accept calls, okay?
Are they calling?
Yes,
I know a lot of people.
Maybe I have a message. Catherine, you have something?
Let's go with the message first.
Go with the message. Good morning, ladies. We're so used to noise in this country. We as citizens need to start taking action against noise pollution by talking to both Muslims and Christians and even traditionalists.
Yes.
All right.
But yes,
you know, guys, I agree with that. What you do here
must go round. Honestly, and I hate it when people think that we have only two religions.
Like
I advocate. Even in South Africa, there are other religions.
Even in South Africa, we had the same problem during COVID time. We are on full lockdown. And they say that people cannot go to churches. But because we found a situation where a different religion needed to practice something, they eased the lockdowns. So people that were Christian were like,
So the same, why don't you spread it around?
Thank you.
But guys, it's interesting to note that the Federal Road Safety Corps Amendments Bill, that's this year, includes provisions against preaching, hawking and trading inside commercial vehicles, like Lolo said, with a proposed 50K fine upon conviction. But the Senate has clarified that the restriction is not a new ban, that the offense has existed under the FRSC Act and National Road Traffic Regulations since 2007.
Wow.
There is yet another dimension to this conversation, noise pollution, which Darshan read one of the messages that came in based on noise pollution. In the country, we already have the National Environmental Noise Standards and control regulations, that's in 2009, which are designated to regulate noise levels and protect the tranquility and psychological well-being of the community. It also provides restrictions on noise generation against and enforcement against excessive noise. And in Lagos, you see this Lagos.
They've really tried in Lagos.
My problem with all these amendments and all these things are that it only comes out to play when it favors people. So we all have these bills and we all have this, you know, revamped everything. But why don't we? It's amazing the number of bills we have in Lagos. Let's start with Lagos.
Don't know about.
You guys.
But you know, I know that.
Can I? Because you guys have actually been talking.
Sorry.
No, not you, Kathy. But you know, Lola has so much to say, you know, about this. I know, but I just want to say that it actually works in Lagos. What? I've given you, I don't know, you don't remember, but I've given you instances. Hey, I don't deal with some people for this Lagos.
Wait, help me, what works?
Our dad. The lady.
Okay, you've called.
Well, yeah, I have. All right. So, I remember when I was in university, I had like a born-again roommate, right? That was in, I think, 400 level. I had like a born-again roommate. And this girl would wake up every day. There was a church compound, right? A big church, you go to pray. So wake up when you're sleeping around 1, 2.
No.
And she would pray, she would shout and scream and all that. I sleep like a security guard. Any small pin that drops, I wake up, right? This girl did that the first time, second time, third time. I told her, please, we're all here, we're sleeping. I beg you, if you want to pray, go to the church compound and pray. And she looked at me, she didn't say anything.
So you must be that you the devil.
My sister, she called me the devil. The day I got up and I slapped her. I'm serious.
I said
devil manifested. Devil manifested.
God will not answer your prayers because as you're praying, we're praying against you. So he will pray, he will answer us, you know, then you, what do you mean? We all have lectures the following day.
Do that.
Very early in the morning, and you're here praying and shouting and screaming.
So who is the real demon?
Besides that, I just want to say that, you know, if you have, because there's this particular, we have a mosque in my estate, right? And you never hear them call for prayer.
Yeah,
they know that once it's time, they set their alarm and they go in and they pray and they come out. But then you have, as soon as they open the gate, there's this particular guy, and it happens on a Saturday morning. When you know you're not going to work and you want to sleep in, that's when the guy comes with his gramophone. I be waiting, they call him speaker. And then he starts to scream. I'm telling you, 2 weeks ago, I almost got up from my bed to go and, you know.
Throttle him.
Yes, I almost did. But something just said, it's okay, just calm down. Aside that, you also have these people in the estate who decided, oh, they wanted to start chilling and balling. They opened like a small place, a small, you know, makeshift bar in front of their, what do you call it, their house. And then the landlord had gone, you know, warned them because they have this really loud speaker. It's an estate, for goodness sake. He warned them so many times, and it was as if, you know, he couldn't do anything again. I reported it, though. I think 4 days after, I stopped hearing the noise.
And I know that Lagos...
I'm serious. I don't know if they did something about it, but I know there is a way you can report it. And just so you know, right, Lagos State Environment Management and Protection Law runs the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, LASEPA. Strict authority to regulate and enforce ambient noise limits across the state. Yeah, we understand that, you know, for churches on Sunday, yes, it's Sunday, they preach.
But no, do you know that Lagos State enforce the law?
Every day, and some do it also overnight, especially those vigils. When you're sleeping, that is when it happens.
But do you know that they enforce that you cannot put loudspeakers outside your church?
Inside, there is a noise limit inside, even outside. And this happened because, how did I even find that out? Because I lived in a compound where there was a church in the compound and you'd be sleeping and they'll be disturbing you. Hey, God have mercy.
I would never take
So I'm saying that it works. There is a way you can go online, make your report anonymously, and nobody will.
And they will do something.
I'm serious.
But you know, our freedom of anything is to the extent that it does not disturb the freedom of another person.
Right, 100%.
I cannot say because Dashen is tolerant, I will now keep pushing my hand in her eye. And the country, did you remember years ago that people would barricade an entire strip to do naming ceremony?
Yes.
Lagos State, that's something I just give. I remove my cap and I throw it on the ground for Lagos State. Before, somebody want to have a full wedding. And they will have it in the center of a street
Yes.
with
all
their
They
full
will put
chest.
canopies
canopies
everywhere.
block
When Lagos
everywhere.
State said this will no longer happen, I thought it would be unenforceable, but it was
All you have to
enforced.
do is file a complaint.
Yes.
An official complaint, and that is it. Is it not enough? I'm not again, because I go to church as well.
course.
But is it not enough that you count on your street, you count like more than 10 churches?
10 churches.
Imagine just every church operating on a
Let's
Sunday.
not even.
Meanwhile, you don't feel like going to
I
church.
want
Do you
us. I
understand
want
what
us
I'm
to
saying?
go on a break, but that's why I don't want to. I don't want to hop on this
Yeah.
thing you just said. You say every street there's like 10 churches.
My sister.
10 churches. Meanwhile, see as the country be. We are coming back. Let's go to.
Let's go on a break.
Cat is
Are they
angry.
talking?
No.
Yes, welcome back to the show. We need to move on to this next story. We need to. So sometimes a picture captures a beautiful moment, whether it's a pregnant woman, a growing family, you know, the kind of picture that makes people say, oh, I tap into this. But what happens when the picture tells one story and the reality behind it tells another? A woman has taken to Facebook to recount what she describes as one of the most painful experiences of her marriage, revealing that while she was heavily pregnant and preparing to welcome her first child, she was allegedly left alone when she needed her husband the most. It's a long caption to the photo, but I'll do my best to read through. So here goes. Many people saw this picture that year and were typing, oh, I tap make now on tap. One time, Pastor asked my ex-husband to borrow him 70K. He told Pastor he didn't have, but he told him I had because my ex had access to my accounts. Pastor came. I borrowed him 70K out of 230K in my account, which was money I kept for the delivery of my first child. When I went into labor and the hospital demanded for me to make a deposit because my water burst and I hadn't gone into labor, I called the pastor to send the money so I could use it to make the deposit. And pastor asked me why I did not make plans for another money I could use for delivery. Do you know, he even reported me to my ex-husband, who then came to the hospital angrily asking me why I asked pastor for the money I borrowed him when pastor never gets. Meanwhile, it was already past 1 week from the day he promised to pay back. I shall continue to disturb pastor until he sent the money to me. Person when I won born Pekin for left me in the hospital by 10 a.m. and took pastor motor to mechanics for repair. He only came back by 7 p.m. when I was already induced and in labor, and still left again by 8 p.m. saying I'm overreacting to the labor pain because I'm seeing him. I had to call him to come back by 8 a.m. the next day because I had given birth. See, as he hold my belly like better, my Pekin, I want, like better person. Yes. But now me buy this polo, kneel down, beg, before Ingrid follow me go studio.
Is this a person?
In a follow-up post, she provided more detail about what happened that day. She said her water broke at 5 a.m. and after arriving at the hospital, she was placed on antibiotics and a drip because she was losing fluid. Her husband allegedly left her there to take the pastor's vehicle to the mechanic, ignored her calls, and returned hours later without food. After she was induced, he reportedly left again, saying she was over-exaggerating to the labor pains. She eventually went through labor alone and only called him the next morning after she had given birth. Looking back, she says she regrets tolerating the situation and hoped other women will recognize the red flag and leave sooner. Nigerians obviously have a lot to say about the story, so let's take some reactions first before we hear what our girls have to say on the table.
Which man in his right senses would tell a woman that she's overreacting to labor pain? And me, go open leg for you again. God forbid it. The more I read the story, the more I got angry. You women enable these men so much up to the point that they see women as just a commodity and baby factory. As a lady, there's a way you would tolerate so much from a man. Police just have to arrest you. Because why tolerate so much? With his dimple, like he's a good person. Hope Udogachi people have carried him. If they don't find him, let them start arresting his church members one after the other. Social media shows you only what they want you to see. Behind the awe is the pains, tears, and regret they do not show you. You see the sign, but love cover your eyes. How you go beg man to propose to just to impress social media with the picture? Omo, na the package man. Now God help you say you no die for this your so-called marriage. From day one, now you, they force everything. Must you be or snap with him?
I saw the sign. I saw the sign.
Catherine, this day of come.
I tell you.
See, that's why when I see people that do this, oh, I wish your life was mine. I always say people don't pray like that. Say, Lord, I desire good things. Say what you need. Don't look at somebody's life and say, I want to mirror this life. You don't really know what is in the mirror.
It's called the lust of the eye.
Yes, Mama.
Lust of the eye.
Yes, Mother Inama said the lust of the eye.
Is that what they call
Ojukokoro?
That is lust of the eye.
Even I know that.
Yes. Look at this girl now. Look at this picture. Even when I saw this guy,
even now said she's the one that bought him the t-shirt.
He said, I bought it. And he looks like a quiet guy. Look at this guy.
It's a very unfortunate situation.
He's serving God because he went to carry pastor's motor to a mechanic while your wife was in labor.
So I think this also goes back to the conversation we had about that lady that was burnt.
No, let's not go.
Whether we like it or not, even us as people need to be able to draw the line. You understand? We need to understand what is honor. And also, if you are also submitted under the right man of God, who you call your pastor and your spiritual covering, the home will always come before certain things. So if you are led and guided by the right man, the correct kind of leader,
this thing you said,
sit there with your wife. Do you understand?
But this thing you said, if I want to go to town with it, I really hope that this thing Unam said is supposed to be the standard of the Bible.
They said that I go to church.
No, I know pastors. I know women that have lost their families because of obedience to church.
What are the messages? Let's get the messages.
So many messages.
Let's hear.
Good morning, all Mars in the studio.
Protocol duly observed.
Yes. Good morning cry is supposed to be based on selected locations and not a permanent site on a daily basis. And if you see a sign in a community stated not to preach, you can go to another area that may have a caution notice, that may not have a caution notice. My advice to all our preachers is to be careful and apply wisdom in our early morning cry to avoid issues like what we're discussing. After all, not everyone must be saved before Christ comes, even though it is our wish for all to be saved. And that's from Apostle Dr. Ashake, Youth Can Chairman, Kano State.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also have this one that says, my contribution, I believe the issue should be looked at from both sides. Freedom to preach is important, but it should not become an excuse to disturb, intimidate, or inconvenience other people with excessive noise. Street preachers should respect public peace and obey reasonable noise regulations, while authorities should also act lawfully and transparently rather than using arbitrary measures. We need a balance between both religious freedom and the right of others to peace and quiet. And that's from Mark Bello. This one, I know people might not like this one. Is it only churches that make noise? What about the 5 times prayer from mosques, and especially during Ramadan, that they start from 4 a.m.?
Mashallah.
Let the noise pollution be general and not Christian preachers only.
Yeah, but we said it's
exactly
general. We didn't say it was only Muslim. But do you remember during Ramadan before, I used to experience in one estate, they will come out with drums. They will drum round. But I think they stopped it in Lagos State.
All right, more messages coming in. Noise from hotels, management in residential areas remain another noise pollution issue.
They should report it.
Yes, this one here says, good morning, ladies. We're so used to noise in this country. We as citizens need to start taking action against noise pollution. All right, I think I read this one. But then it goes on to say the lady's husband, this one you're talking about, has been brainwashed by the pastor. And the lady is also blinded by love. God saved her from running.
Do you know how many people are brainwashed by pastors now? Do you know how many people just abandon themselves to pastors, and then pastors abuse that office? I want to call it office for lack of a better term. They abuse that office and make sure they use people along the way, especially when you allow yourself, you roll on the floor for them literally.
There's so many things that I'm a Christian, but I know that this is not the standard of God's word. But because if you talk about it, they feel as if, oh, you are anti-Christian, I have seen Muslims who have behaved with so much decorum, and I've seen Christians who have behaved with so much decorum, and I've met traditionalists who have behaved with so much decorum that you'd be like, I never even knew one of my colleagues was a Buddhist. If you see the way he comports himself, it was just one day that we're having a conversation that I now found out that, oh, you're a Buddhist. He said, yes, I am. I'm sure you know, we used to work together. None of us, because of the way he comported.
Yeah.
That's sometimes people forget that our own Bible says that become an epistle read by men.
Yeah.
That you don't even have to say her like this.
Exactly.
No,
Your character, your demeanor can make people ask you that, please, what makes you like this?
No. That's
But yeah, if you are wearing a t-shirt,
like
I am a Muslim, mashallah,
it doesn't.
or I'm a Christian.
You
No, all those things don't go.
It's the same thing. I'm tied it to the lady who's, we talked about was being burned by her husband, who is a clergyman. Things happen under the guise, under the umbrellas of these things. You are a church, you go to church, you're a churchgoer, you are a chosen, you are active in the Lord, you are activated, you are use all the words. But the truth is, let us stop enabling men. Stop feeding, stop packaging. There's one tweet that came in. Stop una de package men, abi una de. Stop packaging them. Stop
You wrap
it.
them in Christmas
Stop
wrapping
it.
paper.
Stop
Christmas
it.
wrapping paper.
Receive
now
says
where they
stop
don't
it.
leave, who should they leave am for?
Exactly. You've left him now. Now you're raising a child because you chose your
Hey,
peace
but at least, Catherine,
ultimately.
we're not applauding her.
Yeah.
We applaud her that
But
she be
if she
able
had
to call
looked-
out this nonsense
Look
and move
before you
away
leave.
from it.
But
imagine some people who stay in this marriage
Maybe they had told
and
her
have
that
4
time
children.
not to go this way. But love, not green and sea road. Here we are today.
Guys, there's always so much to say when it comes to these things, but from us at the table, today's Friday. May your Friday be
Please
filled
address us properly.
with noise cancellation.
I address this.
Address us properly.
Oh, sorry, ladies. Lady
The lady is.
Ma, honorable. May your and to our lovely viewers, our sirs, Ma's, professors,
And chief
engineers,
doctors.
chief doctors, and all protocol
engineers.
observed.
And
May your
baristas.
Friday be filled with sound cancellation. Your Saturday with respect, and your Sunday spiritually guided. From us at Jasiri.
Clock it.
Until next time. Goodbye.